Hey guys, welcome to a JavaScript series. In this video, we are gonna give you an introduction to JavaScript. We are gonna talk about what is JavaScript, why you should learn JavaScript, what are the features of JavaScript, what is the JavaScript engine, JavaScript versus ECMAScript, and a lot of other things we're gonna discuss in this video. So let's get started. First of all, let's understand what is JavaScript. Now, JavaScript is a scripting language, and it was made by Brandon Eek at Netscape. By the way, Netscape was a browser company. It was one of the most popular browser at that time, and it came. The first version came on 4th December 1995, and it just took 10 days of development for that to come, which is an interesting fact. And this is the guy behind it. Now let's talk about one more thing here. See, JavaScript is a great language and a lot of people love it, including me obviously, but a lot of people hate it at the same time. The reason is some weird behaviors that it has. Now, what are those weird behaviors? Let's actually discuss about it. Before that, I would like to show you one meme here. So you can see this meme over here. I'm going to explain you this. So let's understand it. Now, for understanding it, let's first of all try to I would like to ask you some questions here. One question over here. So let's say if I ask you 0 and 0. Now, are these two things equal or not? If I ask you that, your answer would obviously be true, because these two things are obviously equal. Now, my next question would be, what if I say you 1 double equals to 2? Are they still the same? I think your answer should be false. Now, last question is, what if I ask you, is 0 equal to 0 inside a string? Now, here, I hope your answer is false. And see, logically, you are correct over here. But when you talk about JavaScript, it would give you true. Let me show you that. So if I go and open inspect element, so inspect element, by the way, is a place where I can execute JavaScript code. So now don't worry, you don't need to understand JavaScript to execute it. It's pretty easy. What I'm writing, it's basic maths. So for example, if I say 0 double equals to 0, now that gives you true, which is good. If I say 1 double equals to 2, that gives me false, which is also good. But now if I say 0 double equals to, inside a string I say 0, that also gives me true. Now, this is a bad thing. This is one of the weird behavior JavaScript is showing. These two things are not equal. Sure, the contents of the string is equal to the number, but the string is not equal to a number, and so it should not be equal to each other. But JavaScript says it's equal. So this is one of the weird behaviors. And see, I understand the frustration that might be caused by these things. Like, this is just not one example here. There are multiple examples. You will learn about this in this JavaScript series, but there are a lot of examples like that, and so that's one of the reasons why people hate it as well. But what my perspective on this is that if you understand JavaScript well, you would be able to get around these behaviors and enjoy JavaScript, but you need to understand JavaScript for that. And for example, if I talk about this only, here if I do something like this, it would give me false. So you can see, I just changed double equals to triple equals to, and it just became false. Like, the answer became correct. Okay. So what is the magic behind it? It's very simple. Double equals to is equality, and triple equals to is strict equality. And so double equals to doesn't check the type of the operands, like 0 and 0. It doesn't check the type, it just checks the value. Value was same, that's why it said true. But triple equals to check the type as well. And that is where JavaScript corrected its mistake. So it's not about the behaviors it show. I think you should focus more on fixing those behaviors rather than just complaining about the behaviors, because at the end of the day, JavaScript is a very popular language. You can't ignore that fact by just seeing some weird behaviors over here. You can fix those behaviors easily by your knowledge about JavaScript, and that's what we're going to cover in this series as well. We are going to give you a lot of examples for weird behaviors, and we're going to show you why it happened and how you can fix it. all these things would be logical. It's not like something illogical just happened out of the way. So it's not like that. Okay. um, Now let's talk about popularity of JavaScript. As I said, JavaScript is a very popular language. Now you might ask me how popular it is. For that, I would like to show you Stack Overflow survey for JavaScript, not for JavaScript, actually for developers, and it will show you the reality, the popularity of JavaScript among other things, among other tools like Python, C, and any other languages. So I would like to go to the survey. So I will just search for Stack Overflow survey 2023, and there you can see the link for that. Let's go there and see the survey. So if you go to the I think the technology part, I guess, yes. So there, if you see the most popular technologies, the most popular technology is JavaScript. As you can see, it's the most popular among all the respondents. It's the most popular. Then if you even come to professional developers also choose JavaScript for their work. So it's not just about developers who are learning to code, for example. Let's talk about the next thing over here. Let's say the other thing over here, Node.js. So you can see over here, Node.js is what is Node.js, by the way? Node.js is a JavaScript technology that can help you to create web servers. So you can see even that is very popular among other alternatives. For example, if you see Flask or Fast API, Flask and Fast API are, by the way, Python ones, or ASP.NET for C#, or WordPress for PHP. Node.js is very, very popular than all these things, and so a lot of people love it, even professional developers, as I said. So it's not about just the front end part. It's also about like the back end as well, and obviously the language in general is very popular. Right? So yeah, JavaScript is a very popular language. You can't ignore the popularity of it, and that's why I feel learning it is a good choice. You should learn it definitely, and it would definitely give you a career advantage. Now let's talk about the next thing over here. Is Java and JavaScript same? I'm just gonna give you a very simple answer, and that is no. And you can understand it from this meme, by the way. Java is to JavaScript as ham is to hamster. There's no relation. Sure, the name sounds same, but there's no relation. Okay, it's basically that Java is for different purpose and JavaScript are for different purpose, right? It's completely different, and they're used in a completely different areas. Okay. Now let's talk about users of JavaScript. Now JavaScript, the most important use of JavaScript is front-end development, and that's actually the reason why JavaScript was born. It was made for making front-end development, and like it was made for making websites interactive. That's the reason why it was invented. And today, if you go to a website, usually that website would not either run without JavaScript, like would not even run without it, or it would just miss a lot of features and a lot of interactivity. And I would like to show you two examples here. One is YouTube, one is Amazon. Let me first of all go to YouTube. Now if I go to YouTube over here, now I'm not disabled the JavaScript right now, and you would be able to see the YouTube homepage correctly. There's no issue over here, and we are able to see the YouTube homepage. Let's do one thing, let's disable JavaScript. Now when I disable JavaScript over here, I can disable, by the way, JavaScript with multiple ways. I'm just going to use an extension called Web Developer Extension. You can install it in your Chrome browser. I think it's also available for Firefox as well. There you can go to Disable tab and you click on Disable JavaScript. When you click on that, the JavaScript is disabled. Now you need to refresh the page for the changes to get into effect. So let me do that. And when I refresh, you would see that the page loaded completely, but I don't see anything. Why I don't see anything? Is it's something with my internet? It's not. I can just reload the page again. You would see, you won't see still, like you still don't see anything. The reason why you're not able to see anything over here is JavaScript is used in YouTube to render some components of the page, and also it's used for fetching the videos from backend. Okay, and so you're not able to see anything over here. And that's again, you can see like without JavaScript, YouTube is not even loading. So you can see the importance of JavaScript over there, right? Let me enable the JavaScript again, and now let me go to Amazon. Let's see if Amazon is different or not. So if I go to Amazon over here, now by default you can see Amazon has a lot of interactions over here. I can go and do the slider stuff over here, and obviously slider like automatically changes the slide. Okay, and then I can just go and check for this. For example, you can see a popover appears over here that shows the stuff over here. You can see popover again, and one more thing here, for example, drawer. So you can see when I click on that, it just opened up a drawer. And all this, I don't know if you know about it, but all this is possible because of JavaScript. Let's try to disable the JavaScript over here and let's see what happens. Now, spoiler, it would render. As you can see, it rendered the page, but it would not have any interactivity. First of all, you can see slider is completely gone. I don't see any kind of slider. It's just one image over here, and again, it doesn't automatically shifts. All that was possible because of JavaScript, and you can see like the popovers are like completely gone. You can't even see a popover chevron over there that was earlier there. And then when you click on menu, this all menu, it takes you to a page which basically doesn't have anything. Maybe they're not updating their website regularly for users who don't have JavaScript enabled, because they also know that mainly people would be using JavaScript. Like, who would come without JavaScript? If you install a browser, you have JavaScript enabled by default. You can disable it off like only after you explicitly disable it. So you can see the page has lost interactivity. Even though it rendered, there's no interactivity over here, and that is the reason why JavaScript is very important. Okay, without JavaScript today, websites are without life. You can say that. And then, as I said, as I shown you in Stack Overflow survey as well, JavaScript, as I said, was developed for front-end development, but today it is also used in back-end development with the invention of tools like Node.js, Dino, and Bun. You can go and create web servers through JavaScript, and as you were able to see, it was one of the popular way to create backend. And so you can't again you can't ignore the popularity of JavaScript there as well. Okay, so it is now used for that as well. So if you know JavaScript, you can do front end, you can do back end, and then you can also do mobile development. So with tools like React Native, Ionic, you can develop mobile apps. And by the way, this is easier than using native languages like Kotlin or Kotlin for Android, or Java for Android, or Swift for iOS. Because if you write, for example, in React Native, you would get the app for web, Android, and iOS, all of the platforms together. So you just have to maintain one code base for all of them. And that's where JavaScript shines. Sure, it's not as popular as things like Kotlin or Swift for obvious reasons like performance and stuff, but still it's a good choice if you want to move fast, especially in a startup. If you want to move fast and you don't want to get on a thing where you have multiple code bases, that is obviously hard to maintain both the code bases, and that's where JavaScript shines, right? You can just develop in one code base, and that applies to web, Android, and iOS, and so it's a popular choice for that as well. So JavaScript has multiple uses, you can see today. It also has a use for creating desktop apps. So yeah, it's just not about front end today, it's about other fields as well where JavaScript has expanded. Now let's talk about the main thing for JavaScript, that is the JavaScript engine. Now JavaScript is nothing without JavaScript engine, because your computer can't directly understand JavaScript. You need something for it to understand JavaScript, execute it, and give you the output, and that's where JavaScript engine takes over. So JavaScript engine sits between between your code and your output. It takes in the code and gives you the output. Okay, that's what JavaScript engine does. It understands your code and gives you the output accordingly. So that's the use of JavaScript engine. That's how easy it is. Now let's talk about JavaScript versus ECMAScript. Now this is one more important thing that you need to understand, and this is one thing that people gets confused in. Again, just like Java and JavaScript, people gets confused in JavaScript versus ECMAScript. So see, the thing is that JavaScript is a programming language, whereas ECMAScript is a specification. Okay, so what is the specification? Specification basically tells the rule according to which something can be implemented. In this case, JavaScript engine uses ECMAScript specification to develop the JavaScript engine. They follow the specification. Now you might ask, why there is a need for a specification like ECMAScript? Why don't JavaScript like the JavaScript engines the vendors or the JavaScript engine develop the engine on their own. The reason is compatibility. Now imagine you created a website today, and that website obviously uses JavaScript, for example, on front end. And so what you did was that you deployed that website, and now some people are opening your website in Chrome, some people are opening on Firefox, and you, let's say, wrote the code just for like you just wrote the code in JavaScript and tested it on Chrome. It worked well, but it is not working in Firefox, it is not working in Safari. Why it is not working there? Because each vendor, each JavaScript engine vendor is implementing JavaScript in their own way, so they can also adjust the syntax according to their own will. And that is where the problem arises. Your code might become incompatible with other browsers, and you would have to maintain multiple code for different browsers. You would have to write different code for different browser and different code for different some other browser. And so that is where the problem would start occurring. And that's where ECMAScript shines. It basically dictates the basic rule of JavaScript, the basic syntax rule, lexical structure of JavaScript, and accordingly JavaScript engines decide on the JavaScript syntax and basically goes and implements that in their JavaScript engines. And that's why you won't see any website that behaves like different on other browsers. Sure, there are some differences, like when it comes to some features, some new features might not be implemented yet by other JavaScript engines. That's a different fact. I'm talking about syntax would always be the same across different browsers, and that's where the compatibility comes. Okay, so yeah, that's the thing about ECMAScript. Now let's talk about some well-known JavaScript engine. The first one and the most popular is V8. It's used in Chrome browser, which I'm currently using, and you might be using in some other form, for example Edge browser or Brave browser. A lot of browsers use Chromium engine, which internally uses V8 obviously. So so V8 uses that Chrome that uses that V8 engine, and Node.js also uses that V8 engine. So if you're using anything of that, you're using V8 engine at the end. So next is SpiderMonkey. SpiderMonkey is used by Firefox. Chakra is a JavaScript engine that is now not used because it was used by Internet Explorer, and Internet Explorer is dead, so it's also dead. Finally, Squirrelfish. This is used in Opera browser. Now let's talk about JavaScript runtime environment. What is the JavaScript runtime environment? Now this is one of the important things that you need to understand. So let's understand it very properly. So you have your JavaScript engine over here. It takes in the input, as I said, like the code, and gives you the output. That's what the user JavaScript engine is. Now the problem with JavaScript engine is that it doesn't understand a lot of things. It just understands the core syntax of JavaScript, how to create variables, how to create constants, how to run loops. You would learn about these things later on, but basically it understands the core JavaScript syntax. It doesn't understand how it can, for example, on clicking a button, it doesn't understand how to actually first of all catch that button click event, and how to, for example, change color of an HTML element on that button click. Right? On front end you can do that with JavaScript, that you can just with a button click you can change the text color, because you can do that with JavaScript. But JavaScript engine doesn't know that. Okay, JavaScript engine doesn't know how to create web server. JavaScript engine doesn't know how to call an API. JavaScript engine doesn't know how to access the files on disk. So you can't do these things with JavaScript engine directly. JavaScript engine doesn't understand that, and that's where JavaScript runtime environments come. So you have your JavaScript engine, that's good, but you wrap it around and you extend that JavaScript engine with some extra stuff. Now what is that extra stuff? So the extra stuff is basically some objects and functions. What are objects and functions we're going to understand later on, and some other important things like microtask queues. You have like task queue and a lot of other things that are there, event loop. All these things basically wrap the JavaScript engine, and then we get the JavaScript runtime environment. Now this JavaScript runtime environments basically understand the things that are important for that runtime. So for example, if you talk about browser would just give extra stuff to the engine that is important for let's say changing the color of an HTML element, or basically like interacting with HTML elements or changing CSS of HTML elements. All these things, all these features would be provided by a browser, because that is what you need in a browser. And that's what you actually need to do with JavaScript on the browser. You don't need JavaScript on browser to create a web server, and so you don't have that functionality on a browser. You can't create a server in a browser. Okay. But if you talk about, for example, Node.js uses that same JavaScript engine and just wraps it and extends it with things that are important for creating a web server, for accessing the files of files on a disk. So all these things are provided by, for example, Node.js. So you can see the difference. They might be using same engine. For example, Chrome and Node.js uses V8, but what they extend the JavaScript engine with will be different. So this won't be equal with this. There might be some functionality that might be same, but they won't be completely same. Okay, there would be a lot of differences between them, and so that's the thing about it. Okay, so yeah, that's what JavaScript runtime environment does. It just wraps the JavaScript engine with some extra stuff. And so you can say like JavaScript runtime environment is equal to JavaScript engine plus some extra stuff for interacting with outside world. And that is where you would see a lot of environments. First is browser runtime environment. That is your Chrome browser that provides a JavaScript engine, things that helps it to, interact with HTML elements, interact with CSS of the page, change it, stuff like that. Call an API. Server runtime environment would provide with things that helps you to create a web server, access files on a server. Desktop runtime environment is one more environment, by the way. This would help you to create desktop applications. So it would allow you to do the things that are required on a desktop. So like accessing all that desktop specific features, right? So that is the thing there. And if you talk about mobile runtime environment, that would help you to access mobile features like GPS or sensors that mobile has, or camera, like things like that. It would be able to help you to access those things. And that's where mobile runtime environment would come. Because see, JavaScript engine won't be able to access your camera. It doesn't know how to do that. ECMAScript doesn't even mention about it. Let me actually go and open ECMAScript in front of you, and you would be able to understand about it. And this is again one of the important things that you need to understand. You should be able to understand from ECMAScript as well, because that's the ultimate truth for syntax. And this series is all about the syntax of JavaScript. It's not about JavaScript specific features for browsers or Node.js, as I discussed earlier. It's not about that. It's about the JavaScript core syntax. So if you like, actually let me go back and search for directly ECMA specification. So like there are multiple versions of the specification. For example, this is the 2025 version, ECMA 262. So if you go there, you can see the whole specification. It's a very large document, by the way, so it will start hanging my computer, but I can see like all the stuff about it. Like all the stuff about JavaScript is discussed over here, and this is just the core syntax. There won't be any mention of creating a web server. It's just not possible with JavaScript code engine. So if I can actually search for it, server. So you can see like, okay, it's just written, by the way. It's not telling it. It's just saying that, okay, yeah, it's widely adopted for server, and at other places as well, it would have that kind of stuff as well. It won't tell you how to actually go and create a server from JavaScript. It's not possible. You can see, right? It's just some places where it just told about server, but it's basically not something that you can do with JavaScript engine. JavaScript engine doesn't know. Same goes with browser things. It doesn't know how to interact with DOM elements. It's not possible for JavaScript engine. That's the basic idea over here, and that's where JavaScript runtime environments come. Okay, and actually I can to make it more clear, I can just give you some example. Some example for browser runtime environment would be Chrome, very obvious. Firefox. I know my writing is not the best, but bear it. Server would be, for example, Node.js, Deno, whatever you want to say. I just say it, anything. Desktop runtime environment is Electron. So Electron is just like a JavaScript technology that helps to create desktop apps. Mobile runtime environment would obviously be React Native or Ionic. Okay. So yeah, that's basically the idea about it. So hopefully you're able to understand all these things. That's all about this lecture. Hopefully you understood all these things. Let me know if you have any doubts on this. Would love to answer it in the comment section below. That's all for this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.